That's Cincy, Psychotic Waltz. Hi, gentlemen.
Hi.
Hello.
Another time in Germany, another time you play live shows here, and with a comparatively new record in your suitcases. But before we start the whole thing off talking about the record and live, I would say we play a video of your band, which is?
It's a video produced by our bass player, Phil Cutno. It's called Faded.
Enjoy.
And how is this tour in particular going? Is it, since when have you been away from home?
We landed here on, what day did we land?
We've been here a week now.
And this is the fifth
Yeah.
show.
Uh-huh.
This is the fifth concert of the tour. Fifth out of, what, 17 or 18?
Yeah. It's going good so far. You know, I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. Germany's where we really do the best, I think. We have fun in Holland and the other countries, but I really enjoy Germany myself. It seems like the fans are the most sincere and, you know, they're really into it out here.
reading reviews or following press about the band, it seems that people agreed on calling what you do prog rock or prog metal, whatever. But always, emphasizing that you are on a little on the edgier side and more rocking version of what we know as prog rock bands. Is that something you agree with, or is it okay with you when you kind of in that genre?
Oh, they put us somewhere, no matter what, it's okay. A lot of these titles, types of music didn't even exist when I really started playing and writing and stuff. It was really called rock and roll, heavy metal at the most, it was called, What we play is progressive, has been in the early albums, extremely progressive, but now we're trying to, I don't know, there's two things music can do. It can either stimulate the mind, like progressive music does, or it can, stir up something in the soul, in the heart, like, rock music. Tends to do old style rock, like Zeppelin or, Black Sabbath or any number of bands back then. And what we're trying to do is
the best combination of both.
Yeah.
The next album, is there already songs written, or is there a time when you want to put out it?
There's about 3 songs that are complete, then a bunch of other songs that we're writing between Dan and I, or Steve, or even Phil, and we're working on it. I hope to do pre-production by, say, January or February, maybe be in the studio by May or June, hopefully be released maybe the end of the next summer.
This one's called Northern Lights.
I think the key with this new album is we're hoping to take a little more time than we did on Bleeding. Bleeding was really condensed into a short period of time where we wrote it, pre-produced it, and recorded it. Whereas this one, I think we're going to take more time and just try to make it come together more in pre-production, so when we get to the studio, we can even add more to it and just give it more layers and just really go at it this time. Just make this one the one.
it's true that when we recorded Bleeding, we actually did a lot of writing in the studio for songs that had already been written but needed to be rewritten.
Right.
A lot of me writing lyrics in the vocal booth, and things like that. And so we took a lot of time in the studio that we should have taken, in pre-production at home. And so hopefully, like he says, when we go into the studio, we can have all the rewriting done and spend all that time just making it perfect.
When you started out, do you think that you had to prove something to yourselves as far as technical abilities on your instruments go?
Oh, yeah.
Or if not to ourselves, we had to prove this maybe to our peers.
Right.
Because we started this, we were teenagers. And so we were like, my philosophy was, well, if a high note is good, then a higher note must be better. If 10 notes in a measure are good, then 20 notes is twice as good. We played that way for a few years, and I ended up seeing a group called Jane's Addiction play when we were in the midst of this is our most progressive era, and I seen this band come out on stage
If one
playing.
set of balls is good, 2 sets of balls is better.
I see this band come up on stage playing the same 3 chords that I kind of like threw away to get into this band, and in my eyes they just blew us away, because there was something, a vibe they sent out and a feel they sent out that you can't do with music that's so wrapped up in technical skill.
Correct, yeah.
And I learned a great deal from that, and I thought I'd kind of rebuild myself, based on how they made me feel, because I realized, listening to our music in the early albums and listening to my idols, who are people like in the 60s and 70s and stuff, and I realized how far apart my art form was from them, and how close a band like Jane's Addiction was to my idols, and I wanted to
Right.
bring myself a little closer to what had got me started in the first place. And that's where we're at now.
When you think of your fans and the people that are in the crowd, do you have the impression that there's a lot of musicians out there and just watching your fingers?
Not my fingers.
That's true, but the finger of everybody basically in the band, like.
God, I hope not. Some nights, I'm the new guy, and I had to learn quite a bit of material before the last tour, especially in a very short period of time, and it would leave one very, the average person, very insecure, in that there's a lot to learn in a very short period of time, and to come over here with a band that had been here at that point 7 times, it was a heavy burden. And you have to grow into the fact that it's more than just the notes; it's a presentation, and I think that even though there a good percentage of the crowd very well might be musicians, I think that what Buddy's saying about the new vibe that the band's trying to push for, it's universally appealing. It'll appeal to anybody that can keep a beat, and it can appreciate a feel and a beat. So hopefully people aren't watching our fingers as much.
Also, hey, thank you everybody for coming. This one is called Morbid.
Now, what is it like when you play live? Is there moments where you get mad at each other because somebody's playing the wrong note, or do you somehow
God,
share?
I hope not.
If that was the case, we would never get along.
Okay.
Because we all screw up. You know, everyone, it's really weird. Everyone always comes up to us and says, "Oh, you guys are so perfect live," and we kind of look at each other and laugh because, you know, all of us make mistakes. We're human. It's,
We
you know, there's
get
good
that,
and there's bad nights.
I think what happens is we get a little more mad at ourselves than we get at each other. You know, if I sing a bad gig, you know, I feel like I totally have defied my own purpose of being here. I feel guilty towards the crowd. I feel, especially when someone comes up to hand me a compliment, I can't even look them in the eye and accept it if I feel like I didn't do 100%. And so I really am only hard on myself. If Normie or somebody, you know, screws up, I pretty much forget about it by the time the next song is happening.